Welcome to one of the mini episodes, the first mini episode of 21st Century Rocker Mom Podcast with me, your host, Tana Candler. I'm here hanging out with you. And as advertised, it ain't nothing but a G thing. What's the G thing? It's grief. I'm going to talk to you today about grief. I thought I would make a short video about grief, what I've been going through. Maybe you've been going through it too. Today, I had my first grief counseling appointment because I realized that I was not dealing with the grief that I have in my life in a healthy way. So what did I do? With the urging of some friends and loved ones, made myself an appointment with a registered grief counselor. Now, why did I make an appointment with a grief counselor? Well, some of you know and some of you may not know that in the beginning of 2022, February 2022, tragically and very suddenly and very unexpectedly, I lost my dad. It wasn't really supposed to happen. It was just kind of a fluky thing. Recently, I've found out kind of what happened to my dad. And, that wasn't news that I was super ready to deal with. And I haven't been dealing with it well. Like I say, I'm missing my dad so much. And when someone passes away, especially like the death of a parent, that's really hard for any child, but it's really difficult for like your inner child. You might be an adult on the outside, but on the inside, you might be a frightened little kid that is not feeling safe, that is looking for a hand to hold of that parent that parented you and loved you, and you can't find it. You're kind of going through the dark with nobody and no hand to reach out to help you. So it's hard. So with grief counseling, I think tapping into that inner child part of you to kind of guide you through your grief is a really important point when you are going through a lot of grief, because if you've been parented and you've been supported by this person, and like I say, the death of a parent and losing a parent and grieving a parent is really hard because that person's taking care of you your whole life, and then one day they're just not there. So it's not so much that you're not only grieving the loss of your parent and grieving mortality. You think about your own mortality maybe as a parent and as a person, and you have all kinds of feelings and emotions that go through you. For me, it's just my biggest emotion that goes through it is just like, it's just really like sadness and missing someone physically. But they've had that life with you physically, and now they're having it, no matter what you believe, they spiritually with you. You're still going to go through life. They're always going to be your parent. It doesn't matter what plane of existence they're on or you're on. No matter what happens, they're still going to be your parent. So I sat with that thought for a good long time. I say tapping into that inner child is important because like your inner child feels terrible when this happens. And so it's important to focus on that inner child and nurture and parent that inner child, maybe that needs that parenting and needs that extra care and needs a little bit of extra TLC when you are dealing with loss. And it could be loss of anyone. For me, yes, it's a loss of a parent, but it could be the loss of anyone or anything to you. It could be a sibling, any family member, a pet, anyone. It could be anyone. But we're all going to deal with grief in different ways, and it's all going to come in different stages when you least expect it. So I would definitely say that, first experience with grief counseling, definitely scary for me, definitely scary because it's a first, right? But definitely very, very helpful. And, looking forward to appointment number 2 and seeing what we can, cover then. But being very nurturing and kind to that inner child and that little person inside of you that is missing their parent very much is really important. And the kinder you can be to yourself, the better you're going to feel. So maybe just babying yourself a little bit, and like I say, being kind to yourself and parenting yourself in the way that you need to be taken care of, and just taking 5 minutes out of your day and giving yourself that permission to just let that little kid grieve and do what they need to do to feel better in that moment, and just be in that moment right there. And if you can have that for 2 seconds a day, you're ahead of the game. Any day above ground is a good day, like I say. I will see you on another episode of 21st Century Rocker Mom Podcast. I will be back in the big room in the studio when it's built. We're building and building and building. And like I say, I will see you on another one of these little tiny little videos. And if you want to catch me on YouTube, on Tanny Candler channel, subscribe right here on YouTube. And if you don't do that, check me out on Instagram. I'm at 21st Century Rocker Mama. I will see you on the flip flop. Take care of each other. Be good to each other. Thanks for tuning in. And don't forget to hit subscribe.